If you're looking for a quick subplan activity or just ways to give your students more listening in Spanish, let's look at some ideas for how you can include drawing in your Spanish classes. These are perfect for comprehension and culture, and there's so many different ways you can include these artistic skills for your students in your classroom. Hey, my name is Ashley, aka Señorita Spanish, and if you're new here, I just want to make sure that you know that links to everything that I mentioned in this video will be down in the description box below. Okay, so first off, I want to know, how do you feel about drawing? Not your students, not having your students do it, but like you personally. Are you an artsy person or like not so much? So 5 is I'm super comfortable with drawing. I love doodling. I do it all the time for my students. And 1 is like, no, because every time I pick up the marker, well, my students are like, that looks like, and you're like, no! 5 or 1, where are you at on the artistic teacher scale? All right, thanks for letting me know. Don't worry if you are on the 1 scale instead of the 5 scale. These are not going to be stressful for you as a teacher. I am somewhere near this end of the scale, so I tend to do something that's very simple for art for my students. And I just like to include it because I know some students love it, and it is just a great way to get in some different comprehension practice. So let's look at some different ideas for how you can include drawing in your Spanish classes. The first option are drawing in Spanish YouTube videos, and there's actually a whole channel where this happens, so I'll make sure to tag some of her videos here for you to check out, and of course down in the description box below. But it's basically like a directed drawing activity where she is speaking in Spanish and she's telling your students, okay, do this, then do this. And she's got different ones for different seasons. They're great for a quick subplan for you, or even if you just need a fast finisher activity to kind of pull out of your pocket, this is something that you could use for that. If you're going to leave one of her videos as a subplan, you're going to need something a little bit more than that, just because some of her videos are pretty short, and I think the longest one that I found is about 40 minutes, which is a long time to expect students to like be drawing. So let's look at some ways you can stretch that out, fluff it out a little bit for a whole subplan. Option 1 is to have them watch and record all of the words that they understand, then write the translation for those words. So they did those 2 things first, then they're gonna watch and draw along as she draws. So there's kind of like a pre-activity, during activity. Then color your completed drawing, and finally you're gonna write a story using your drawing as the main character. So it's kind of an easy way to just take that one video, depending on how long it is, right? Some of them are pretty short, and stretch it out to be a full subplan, just making it a 5-step process. If you want more ideas for easy subplans, check out this video here with 8 anytime subplans for your classes. Next up for drawing in classes is read and draw. This is something I've talked about before in some of my reading activities videos, but it's one of my favorites, so I have to talk to you about it. This is something you can do with any reading, and you don't even have to make copies. It is that simple. Students read or reread the selection you provide for them. You can just project it up on the screen, or if they have novels or copies of it, I just make class sets for them very often if I'm going to do this. Then they just draw to show comprehension, so they're illustrating what happened. Sometimes I have them split their paper up into like comic panels so they can illustrate like a sequence of events, but sometimes I just say, draw what happened, and I let them go. If you're looking for a few ways you could extend that activity, here are some options for you. Have students cut up their drawings, so if you did the comic panel style, then swap them with another student, and the students take turns putting them in order. As students are putting them in order, then have them retell the story as they do it. So as they're moving a square, say what happens in the story at the same time. Then students trade again, so they have a 3rd set of drawings that's different than the first 2. They're gonna put those in order again, but put them on a sheet of paper. Then they're gonna write a sentence to describe each scene instead of just saying it out loud. If you have a dot cam, you could project those drawings for the classes and talk about them with your students in a picture talk activity. If you don't have a dot cam, I never have. I have friends who love them, but you could also just take pictures of them and pop them on slides and then do the same kind of thing. You can also use the students' drawings from the read and draw activity in reverse running dictation. If you're trying to do reverse running dictation, but you're doing it with a story that you didn't have images for, have students create the drawings during read and draw, and then use them for reverse running dictation. And this is something that you might even plan for over a year, right? Because lots of times reverse running dictation is better as like the introduction to a story or the start of a unit. So if your students 1 year do read and draw, pick your favorite drawings, keep them, and then next year if you do this unit again, pull them out, use them. Okay, so more ways you can include drawing in your Spanish classes are these easy to use art projects. And I mentioned before at the beginning of the video, I am not an artsy person. I really am not. So when I do art projects with my students, they are about as simple and easy gets. So the first one is this roll a Picasso project, where it's exactly what it sounds like. Students roll a die and they get different elements that are kind of Picasso-y, and then they create their own version of a Picasso. And I like to do this with a short reading about him first, and then show them some examples of his work, and then they create their own. Along a similar line, I have a roll and draw Calavera project, or like this video I've shared before on my YouTube channel with this easy art project for Day of the Dead. Students just draw and decorate their own Calavera. So simple. I give them different examples of different elements that they might see, but they are really free to just let it go. So if you want to see more about that art project, check that out here. And finally, for Semana Santa, I like to do the draw your own Alfombras project. And I've mentioned before, again, super simple. I have 4 different ideas for ways you can use this project. So depending on what materials you have and how artsy you want to go, you can pick and choose from those. But here's a quick video to show you what that looks like. Again, super simple, super low stress. If you have other ways that you like to include drawing in your classes, drop me a comment down below so we can all learn from each other. I hope this video was helpful for you. Like I said, drawing is super fun to do with your students. It doesn't have to be very high stress for them or for you. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.